What's going on, everybody, and welcome back once again to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my post-Week 5 XFL Power Rankings. And yeah, let's get straight into this video. So coming in at number 8, still the Orlando Guardians, who have now dropped to 0-5. A lot of penalties committed once again. This team, led by head coach Terrell Buckley, is just not in sync at all. They can't get any sort of a defense. Well, it seems like each week it's something different. One week the offense is doing well, but the defense isn't. One week the defense isn't doing well, the offense isn't. But a common theme is just a lack of organization. They're just completely out of whack with all these penalties. And it really is costing them games. They are now 0-5. Coming in at number 7, the Vegas Vipers, who are now 1-4, who were able to get their first win of the season over the Orlando Guardians, but it wasn't pretty. But at least quarterback Luis Perez was able to put on a very good game, and I think they have found their quarterback now for the rest of this season. Coming in at number 6, I have the San Antonio Brahmas, who are now 1-4, and they are now in a hole. I think this team is pretty solid, but they just can't seem to win these games in the end. And their offense was very bad yesterday. They had two quarterbacks. They had Jack Cohen, then they had Sinet, who got injured. But, they're in a really tough situation. But if they do win next week, they'll only be one game back from second place in the South, which ultimately holds a playoff spot. But still, they just lost to the Renegades, so if they beat them, they would be split. So the Renegades are essentially right now 2.5 games ahead of them with 5 to go. Not looking good for the Brahmas. Coming in at number 5, I have the Renegades, who are sitting at 3-2. And even though there's been a lot of bumps for them so far this season, they are currently, if the season were to end today, in the playoffs. And I think it's pretty much set in the South. The two playoff teams, the Roughnecks and the Renegades, because the other two are just too far back, the Guardians and the Brahmas. Coming in at number 4, I have the Sea Dragons, who are sitting at 3-2, and they were able to get a big-time win over the Houston Roughnecks, knocking off the undefeated Houston Roughnecks, who were 4-0 entering the game. It was a pretty sloppy game, really, from both sides. Ultimately, it was the Sea Dragons' defense that was able to close the deal for them in that game. Their defense was lights out the whole way. And like I said, this Sea Dragons team is very tough. I was saying it when they were 0-2. This team is not an 0-2 kind of team, and now here they are at 3-2. But if the season were to end today, funny enough, they would not be in the playoffs. Coming in at number 3, I have the St. Louis Battlehawks, and it's really hard for me here for this one. The Battlehawks are also 3-2 like the Sea Dragons, and honestly, I think the Sea Dragons are better than the Battlehawks, but I'm still leaving the Battlehawks ahead of them because they did beat the Sea Dragons, and you can't disregard that. And to be fair, the Battlehawks are 3-2, but both of their losses are to the Defenders, the only unbeaten team. So that's a great argument for the Battlehawks. But losing to the Defenders again definitely must suck. But I will say this, if they play them again in the playoffs, high chance they beat them, because the percentages of having to beat the same team 3 times is very tough to do. But other than that, though, the Battlehawks with A.J. McCarron, their offense struggled a lot early on in that game. Got it going there towards the end. Their defense really struggled stopping the run, and it was in front of their home crowd, so that was a tough loss for the St. Louis Battlehawks. Coming in at number 2, I have the Houston Roughnecks dropping down a spot. Look, they lost, and not only did they lose, there's another team that's just looking really good right now. I don't think it's a panic button loss for the Roughnecks. The Sea Dragons are a good team, and the Roughnecks still had a chance to win there at the end. It's not like they got clobbered, but still, it was probably a disappointing loss, a game that I think most people expected them to win, even though it was an away game. But they can quickly redeem themselves with a win next week on Monday night against the Defenders, who are the only unbeaten team in the XFL, and the Roughnecks can reclaim themselves as the top dog. But, quarterback Brandon Silvers definitely struggled in that game. He did not look like his normal efficient self. The Roughnecks defense really wasn't the problem. It was just the offense putting the defense in bad situations. In fact, the defense is really what kept the Roughnecks in that game down the stretch. But yeah, I think the Roughnecks will be just fine. Like I said, they pretty much already clinched a playoff spot. It's not clinched, but they're 4-1, and then the Renegades are 3-2, and then the Brahmas are 1-4. So they would have to finish third in the South, and they're 3 games ahead of the Brahmas with tiebreaker. They will win. Their at least at the worst case scenario, they'll be second, but they'll probably stay first. And then coming in at number 1, the only unbeaten team, as I mentioned before, the DC Defenders, who are sitting at 5-0, who were able to get the big-time win over their rival, the St. Louis Battlehawks, or a rivalry that's been born over the last few weeks. And Abram Smith, running back, had a heck of a game. He scored 3 touchdowns, had over 200 yards rushing in that one game alone this past week. That was a very impressive win and an impressive performance there by Abram Smith. And similar to the Roughnecks, the DC Defenders are just really good at not making silly mistakes like turnovers or, penalties, and they're able to feed off of the other teams that are doing so, and that's why them and the Roughnecks are the clear top 2 teams. Quarterback Jordan Ta'amu has been playing very efficiently, and they're using, I didn't even realize Jordan Ta'amu had that sort of mobility in him, but they've been using him a lot in the running game, and he's able to do really well there. Then their backup quarterback, Derek Keene, they bring him for also other designed quarterback run plays, who is also brings a different element to this offense that makes them even tougher to defend. So that's an interesting little 2 quarterback system they got going there. I mean, Jordan Ta'amu is in 90% of the plays, but Derek Keene's in there for those run plays. But yeah, exciting games this past week in the XFL. I'm really enjoying it, and now they're exactly at the halfway point. 5 games over done of the regular season, 5 more to go, and then the 2 playoff games, and it's going to be interesting down the stretch. And my MVP pick for midway through the year, I would say, is quarterback Ben DiNucci of the Seattle Sea Dragons. He has the best numbers of any quarterback. He's definitely been the standout. But yeah, comment down below what you guys think about this. Let me know. Who do you think is good? Is the top dog right now? And I think it really comes down to 2 teams. But yeah. Other than that, I will see you guys next time.